All right, today's notes we're going to be finding percents. In the way that we do this, we know that a percent is a part-to-whole relationship. It is in terms of 100 because percents are out of 100. Okay, so one thing that you need to know is this right here. Part over whole equals percent over 100. You also need to remember is over of equals percent over 100. Those are just some keywords that might tell you where these numbers go. Okay, we solve these just like ratio tables. You either can look side to side or you can look up and down to solve. So we're going to look at example 1. 15 is what percent of 30? So I know since it says what percent, my question mark is the percent. I know percents are out of 100. This one is an is over of question because it says 15 is. So that's going to go on top. What percent of 30? This is the of 30. Okay, 30 times nothing is going to give me 100. So I'm not going to go that way. So instead, I can look up and down. In this case, I'm looking up. To get from 30 to 15, I divide by 2. Do the same thing here, and I get 50%, which makes sense because 15 is half of 30. Okay, on example 2, it says what percent of the model is not shaded. So I'm looking for a percent. I know I'm going to have to do part over whole equals percent over 100. I'm going to set this up every time. Okay, the whole is how many total squares there are in this case. So 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 20 total rectangles. I want to know how many are not shaded. So I'm going to have to count the not shaded ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 not shaded. Okay, on this one, 20 times 5 gives me 100. So I just need to do 14 times 5 to get my answer. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. So this is 70%. So 70% of them are not shaded. And that means I could also say that 30% are shaded if they were to ask me for that. Here are kind of what examples would look like if you are on a test or a STAR test. This is a lot of the times what they'll look like. So it says the table below shows the number of students in Miss Waldorf's class with different eye colors. What percent of the class has hazel or blue eyes? So I know only part of them have hazel or blue because there's other options. I need to set up part over whole equals percent over 100. I know it says what percent, so this is my question mark. First, I need to figure out the whole, so how many total students are in this class. So first, I'm going to add 8 and 12, which is going to give me 20. Then I'm going to add 4 and 8, which is going to give me 12. Now I'm going to add those together, and I get a total of 32. So I know my whole is 32. So this whole class has 32. Part of them have hazel or blue eyes, which is 16 of them. Okay, on this one, if I look across, I don't know 32 times what gives me 100. So instead, I can look up and down. In this case, my question mark is up. 32 divided by 2 is 16. And 100 divided by 2 is 50. So half of the class has hazel or blue eyes. Okay, you're going to try this next one on your own. So you are figuring out what percent of the class has green eyes. I want you to pause the video to do this, and then play it whenever you're ready to move on to the next one. All right, example 3 says Brooklyn saved $300 last month. She saved $75 babysitting. What percent represents the amount of money she saved not babysitting? Okay, so I know this is a percent problem, so I'm going to have to do part over whole equals percent over 100. I know in all she saved $300. I know she saved $75 babysitting, but they want to know how much money she saved not babysitting. Well, if I know she spent $300 in all, I'm going to subtract 75. And I get 225. So I know 225 of those dollars were made or saved not by babysitting. Okay, I'm going to make my scale factor box. On this one, I'm going from 300 to 100. So I'm dividing by 3. So that means I'm going to have to divide 225 by 3 to get my answer. Okay, 3 times 7 gives me 21. Bring down my 5. 3 can go into 15 5 times. So that means 75% of her money was saved by not babysitting, so doing some sort of other chore or job. Okay, just so you know, another way that you could have solved this problem is instead of using 225 here, I could have never subtracted from the beginning. I could have used $75 babysitting here. I still would have been dividing by 3 as my scale factor. And I would have learned that 25% of the money was saved babysitting. So if 25% was saved babysitting, then 75 had to be not babysitting because percents are out of 100. So you can solve those either way. Okay, on this last one, I'm going to show you one more way, so you're not going to do this one on your own. To do this, there's going to be some problems on your practice that you're going to have to do this. So make sure you're paying attention on this last problem. It says you have 45 books on your bookshelf. If 9 are science fiction, what percent are not science fiction? Okay, so again, let's do part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, I know that 45 of the books is my whole. That's how many she has in all. I want to know how many are not science fiction. Okay, so usually here I would subtract 45 minus 9. And that would give me 36. So I know 36 out of 45 books are not science fiction. Okay, but here is the problem. I can't really easily get from 45 to 100, and I can't really easily get from 45 to 36. Okay, when this happens, go back and use your original number. So I can use 9 here. And there is an easy way for me to get from 45 to 9, because 9 times 5 is 45, so this is divided by 5. Okay, that tells me that 20% are science fiction, because this is how many are. So if I know 20% are, 80% are not science fiction. Okay, one more thing that you need to know. So all I need you to do is pay attention here. Let's just pretend that I can't go up and down. I can't go side to side, no matter how I set it up. One more option that you have before you start solving is you can simplify your original fraction. So my original fraction is 9 over 45. I know that both of these are divisible by 9. So I'm going to simplify this fraction. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 45 divided by 9 is 5. Now I can solve this problem. Okay, so you can always simplify your original fraction. Now I can go across. 5 times 20 is 100. 1 times 20 is 20. Okay, so this could have been an option on many of my problems, right? Up here, 15 and 30. This could have simplified to 1/2, and then I could have easily gone across. This one right here, for example, let's just say I couldn't have gone across. I could have simplified 14 over 20 first. They're both divisible by 2. That gives me 10 and 7. Then I could have gone across and gotten 70. Okay, so there's kind of lots of different strategies you can use here. If you can't go up and down and you can't go side to side, try and simplify this fraction, then see if you can go across or up and down. That's another option for you. Okay, once you finish this video, this question needs to be completed, and you're going to glue this into your journal. And then next you'll work on the practice page. You're going to do the front and the back. If you finish it in class, you're going to turn it in. If you don't, you're going to hold on to it until Monday. Y'all have a great weekend.